For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and Not-The-Rockstar, Steve Miller.
Welcome, groovy guys and groovy gals. But thanks again for joining us on the No BS Marketing. No BS. I'm talking about Dan Kennedy now. No, the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. And today, and we're doing, this is a new podcast. I'm Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger. I've got next to me the Dave Loomis, who is my cohort in crime here, and our very first guest on our podcast is none other than John Jantsch, and I can't think of anybody else that I would rather have be our first guest. And John, I'm going to introduce you here in just a quick second. But thank you, everybody, for being here. We appreciate you guys joining us, and hope you like us. And if you like us, all right? Do that too. So we are, our first few episodes, it was just really Dave and I, talking. And then John reached out and said, "Hey, Steve, I got a new book." It's like every 6 months he has a new book. And because, he had that book too. Look at that. I got it right here. Because I look at this during the day, and which is so much fun, but that's a very different book. But John said he has a new book, and I wanted to jump on it. And so I'm going to read John's bio for you. And then I'm going to hand it off to the Dave Loomis to kick this thing off. But John, you must know that John is the author of the Duct Tape Marketing book. Bestseller, off the charts, great book. He's a marketing consultant. He's a speaker. He's written a whole bunch of different books. The Referral Engine, which was another one of mine. I really liked the Referral Engine a lot. The Self-Reliant Entrepreneur. The ultimate marketing engine. See, you're really setting yourself up for you got nowhere to go after this. He's also the founder of the Duct Tape Marketing Consultant Network, which trains and licenses independent consultants and agencies to use the duct tape methodology. Thank you, John, for joining us.
Hey, pleasure to be here. I appreciate the support, and I think my next book is going to have the word infinity in it.
Yeah, some kind of universal universe, beyond infinity and
That's
beyond, right? So
that's right.
Take it away, Dave. You're on, bud.
Excellent. So let's get right into it, because Steve and I have had a chance to read your book, even though it's not quite published yet. It's in its developmental stages, but I've got to say that I loved it from almost the very first word, and I'll tell you why. It's because how you define what we're trying to do as businesses. Whatever we do, whoever's listening, whatever you do for a business, you've got customers. And what are you trying to do for that customer? And you, John, say that we're really trying to create success for that customer for whatever they're trying to do. And to me, that's the foundational building block of not just this book, but basically everything we do. Can you just comment on that, and how is that the building block?
Yeah. So I hate it when authors mess around for a few chapters, kind of giving you ideas. So I got right to it right off the bat. The Ultimate Marketing Engine is a successful customer? Because I think that's obviously the first question that somebody's going to pick up the book and say, well, what is this ultimate marketing engine? And really what I mean by that is the point of view that says that our goal as marketers, our goal really as business strategists, is to figure out how we can take some small segment of the market out there and take them from where they are to where they want to be. I mean, ultimately make them successful. And I think when you take that approach, it's more than just marketing. It really the strategy for the entire business. I think that it's going to inform your mission. It's going to inform your sales messaging, of course. It's going to inform who you hire, how you delegate, how you train. I think because that's everybody's job then is to make sure that the customer gets to where they want to be. You know, a lot of companies talk about this idea of being customer centric and customer forward. And I think taking this approach of building out a customer success track that ultimately does define the stages you're trying to move a customer through really puts that in a practical sort of on paper sense.
Would you say that if you were a business following that methodology, could you serve everybody out there? Could you be an expert, so good at that track that you could any customer you could help make them successful? Or are you asking people to narrow their focus a little bit?
No question. I'm asking people to narrow. You teed that one up for me. Of course, I know, Dave, but you can't make every customer successful. And that's really the point. I think that's where a lot of people struggle, is that they try to take everybody and say, well, here's what we sell. Here's what we do. Anybody who seems to need that, that's who we're going to serve. And the opportunity cost of trying to serve, especially not profitable customers that don't have the right problem, that you're not really set up to serve, is really what stops a lot of businesses from building any momentum. So as you will probably point out, step number 3 in this book is kind of outlined in steps, is to really narrow your focus to your ideal client. And in my experience, it's about the top 20%, frankly. That doesn't mean you won't serve anyone else, but you're going to build your customer success track for that top 20%, because they're probably the people that you're already delivering the most value to.
Can I jump in and ask you a follow-up to that? Is how do you define the success?
Well, that takes time. I mean, I don't think that's something that you start a business one day and go, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know where everybody wants to go. I mean, that's something that you learn by paying attention. But one of the things, that's why I'm so focused on this idea of narrowing your focus to your top 20% of your clients, is because they probably have the right problem. You know, you probably have the right solution. They have the right behaviors and the right values that make the right connection. And I think that what you do is you really drill down and study them. You study the stages they're in, typically the characteristics that they have when they come to you, the challenges that they have when they come to you. And ultimately you pay attention to the promise of maybe moving them to that next stage. So that's how we start defining these. And, you know, for marketing, and of course, anybody that picks up this book, I've outlined the complete roadmap for a customer success track for marketing. That's really one that I've learned, and it's evolved in my years of working with small business owners. But my real goal in this endeavor is that I think any business, almost regardless of the industry that they're in, can and should develop this thinking for their own customers. Now, their customers there might be 3 stages, or they may have most of their customers in one stage, and they think, okay, what would be the next stage of development for them? And then ultimately maybe that grows to 5 stages. But I think it's the point of it is if we're starting with trying to grow and mature with our clients, we'll start to figure out the small percentage of them that want to do 10 times business with us, and then the even smaller percentage of them that want to do 100 times more business with us, if we're focused on the right ideal client.
This sort of reminds me a little bit of something that I sort of teach and espouse, work of Clayton Christensen, the jobs to be done theory, which, you know, you say in this book that, you know, we sort of reverse engineer, you know, some of what you do for your best customers, and say, look, what problems are we really solving for that customer? Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I start that section by saying nobody wants what we sell. They want their problem solved, and most businesses are really focused on here's what I sell. And until we can connect the problem that we're solving, that we're uniquely suited to solve, they really don't care about our solutions, or they'll lump our solutions into what everybody else says they're doing. For example, I sell marketing strategy. Nobody ever woke up one morning and said, I think I'm going to go get me some marketing strategy. That sounds like a good idea today. But they do wake up and
don't.
Never. But they do wake up and say, how come the last 4 phone calls, the person on the other end has asked for a lower price? Or how come when I look at Google, my top 3 competitors are in the map pack on page 1 and I'm not? And those are the problems that we solve. Now, it just happens to be that those are strategy problems. But until I can communicate the problems, until I can let somebody know that I get them, I know what they're going through, they won't listen to how I'm going to actually solve that problem.
Sort of like joining the conversation already going on in their mind.
So much. And the beauty is, I've done thousands of interviews with our clients. That's how we get to that, because they know the problem that you're solving for them. You as a business owner, 9 times out of 10, probably don't really understand it, because a lot of times it's little stuff. It's you show up on time, you return their phone calls, you're nice, stuff that your parents taught you, and you didn't realize that's a business strategy. But that's typically some of the things that we hear from folks of the problem that they're actually solving. And today, I'll tell you, a goldmine is Google reviews or third-party review sites, because if somebody turns voluntarily to one of those things and jumps over all the hurdles to get there, and then leaves 50 words about what you did for them, there's probably some gold in there. They're going to be talking about what they're getting from you that they're not getting from everybody else.
That is gold.
That helps with the value proposition definition also. I mean, totally. I think there's nothing more powerful than actually using some of those real words that customers say in your value proposition, and actually kind of like, I'm a marketing person, but there's so much marketing speak and sort of like an advertising-esque language that's so tempting to use, but it can be really powerful to use the customer's own words. I actually used something from your book in a client meeting today.
Dang it. And you didn't even pay for that copy either, did you?
It's just like right out there. And so what I used, I'm going to be conducting some customer interviews for a client.
Awesome.
And I said, and I actually have used this question before, but you outlined it very well, which was basically ask the customer if they were talking to one of their peers and sort of providing a reference, and their friend or colleague asks them, so well, why do you use that company? Why do you use company X? What's your answer? And I've gotten some amazing, responses to that. And it's just like you said, unsuspecting things come out.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about using that for your value proposition, but I mean, we use it for email subject lines, for blog post ideas, for the message above the fold on the homepage, because it's especially when you see it repeated. We had a tree service that we worked with years ago, and they said, we've been in business for so many years, we're, community-based, family owned, and which was all good stuff. Nobody didn't like that. But when we interviewed their clients and then looked at all the reviews, there was some combination of they showed up when they said they would, and they clean up the job site. I mean, we just saw it over and over and over again. I mean, that's the problem. That's the thing that somebody who hires a tree service is not getting. They unfortunately, might not be true, but if you've got a truck and a chainsaw, I pretty much figure you can cut a tree down. But will you show up at your allotted appointment time, and will you leave a mess? So that's the kind of stuff that I think that can become messaging to where somebody says, yes, finally, somebody's speaking to me. And of course, you've got to back it up. You've got to show up on time. You make a show up on time guarantee or something like that. But that message becomes the strategy for your business.
Maybe I should do that when I'm speaking, is show up on time. That would be a good idea, don't you think?
Well, it could be your brand differentiator. We don't know when he'll be.
I'm going to take all you other guys out now. With
that. he's that guy that we have no idea when he's going to show up. Isn't that a brilliant differentiator?
I love you. I love that you also
test
said
that a little bit, Steve. Test that a little bit.
Yeah, I will. I'll do a little testing of that. I love it. In here you say most customers, your customers don't know how to solve their problem.
It's, and when I say big, bold things like that, a lot of times it's obviously an overgeneralization, but a lot of times they don't really even know what their problem is. They know the symptoms. They know that they can't get any traction. They know that their website doesn't convert, but they don't really know what the problem is. They just know what they're feeling and seeing. And so a lot of times by really digging into this idea of problem, you actually get to define it. And so then they're all of a sudden going, oh, that's why I'm experiencing that. And I think that if you can make that connection, it's like they're telling themselves a story already. And all of a sudden you connect the dots for them. It's like, yes. And why isn't anybody else saying that to me? Why is everybody else saying I need a 473XB as opposed to, identifying what my problem is?
Did you just make that up?
I just made that up.
Okay. Because I want to make sure. I don't want to think, I don't know what the 4X something B is. What the hell is he? He's showing off now, so.
Steve and I we're talking on one of our previous podcasts about branding and brand experience, and something that a concept like a mindset shift that you recommend in here is just, I think, a beautiful idea. And that is to pretend like your offering is part of a membership. So you're selling to a group of customers, but it's more than that. It's you're joining a club, and even though you make a very strong point multiple times that you're not suggesting that everybody create like a literal membership model,
right?
But even just the mindset shift and thinking, well, if my customer was a member, what would I do? How would I treat them? How would I think about them differently? Can you say a little bit about that? Like, where'd you get that idea, and why do you think it's so powerful?
Well, I think it's like you said, it's a point of view about how you look at your customer. But also, if you think about the best membership type of arrangement, it's not just I offer this and I treat them well. They want to be there. They want to join. They're there because of what they get as well. So it's really a two-way street. I wish there was a better word than member, because I did have to spend some ink on saying, I don't mean Costco. I don't mean Sam's Club. That's not what I'm talking about from a membership standpoint. But I do think that a lot of times we invest in memberships. We evangelize a membership relationship. And so it was really just a way of getting the thinking about, what if instead of thinking in terms of the transaction, we started really analyzing the transformation that our best customers want to have.
Yeah, I talk about that in my last book, where I say you want to, and I do use the word club, but I'm also very much on your side of like, okay, I'm not talking about, like you say, Costco, but I do say that what you want to be is the club that everybody wants to be a member of, but they can't. Okay, only certain people can be in there, and the ones who are in there recognize that they can't leave, because if they leave, they're going to lose something. That to me is kind of what that's all about. So I love that. Look at your customers, and that's semantics too. It's like even changing the word, not even using the word customer. Right. If you just change to the word client, those are two very different words. One sounds more transactional than the other one.
Yeah.
Right. And a member sounds like something they're going to stick around.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that customer's member and your customer success track.
That is really cool. And the other thing I think that also is a good visual that you describe, which I'd love to hear you talk more about, is, we talk about a traditional sales funnel, right, which basically, hey, it ends in the sale. That, everybody and their brother is, coming up with personas now and tracking customer journey. And we're helping those people along. And now we get the sale. Okay, awesome. That's great. It's all done, right? No, it's not all done. Actually, it's just starting. So what's the hourglass that you talk about?
Yeah. So I've been talking about that shape or that concept for about 15 years. You're right. I think it was around, I don't know, 2010 or so. All of a sudden the customer journey became, a much, you look at Google Trends and you could see like all of a sudden the customer journey takes off. I've been talking about it for a long time because I've always felt that the best source of lead generation was a happy customer. And if we only focused on getting that sale like the traditional funnel does, we're missing, I think, the real opportunity. So I borrowed from the funnel shape. Of course, we do have to get some percentage of the market out there that know about us and some percent to want to become customers. But it's what happens after that if we intentionally plan for retention, we intentionally plan for a great experience, we intentionally plan for repeat business and referrals, that those are part of the active processes and campaigns just as much as getting that click or that visit to our website. And so I define the marketing hourglass with that shape, but then it has 7 stages. They're know, like, trust, try, buy, repeat, and refer. And I chose those words intentionally because I feel like they are more descriptive of behaviors. And I think that's really what the customer journey is all about. It's not about creating demand like so many people talk about it in a linear fashion. It's really more about organizing behavior of around the journey that people are going to go on with or without our permission. I mean, a lot of the ways in which we find companies and research companies, I mean, those things, we don't even know about it. They're out of our control a lot of times, out of our hands a lot of times. The fact that people can make videos about our company and review sites. I mean, those are things that we can't control. And so if we intentionally look at how do we guide people through those 7 stages, and we start building just as much emphasis into onboarding and welcome orientation and to cross-selling and upselling and continuing to educate, then we, instead of just thinking, oh, I need to write another blog post or I need to do some other thing on Facebook, we're actually, every one of our actions, every one of our tactics will fit. We want to fit into this framework of those stages, and then at least hopefully everything that we do will have value for the customer. And that's really, I know everybody talks about this idea of being customer centric, but if you start using frameworks like the marketing hourglass, I think it really helps you stay focused on actually staying customer centric.
Yeah, something that I've often said, that I've said for many years, is that the experience is the marketing.
Yeah.
Right. Like you talk about, what brings people back? Well, it's because they had a good experience.
Yeah.
Or they come back. Now, if they had a great experience, if they had an amazing experience, unexpectedly great, experience, now they not only come back, but they also share the story. Yeah. So, which, as you say, it's in the bottom part of the hourglass.
I'll go back to my Google reviews again. I'm just such a fan of that content that we have now access to, because you will see 9 times out of 10 people don't review companies. They don't review products necessarily. I mean, obviously there are some products, like an iPhone or something that they might, talk about and review. But for most businesses, they're reviewing the experience and they're reviewing the people.
That's right.
I mean, you'll see so many reviews. They won't talk about this HVAC company fixed my furnace. No, Rusty was awesome. He didn't let the dog out and he showed up exactly on time.
He was on time. He was on time.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's what people review.
That's in comedy, they call it a callback.
That's excellent.
So now we only have time for one more question from the audience. Is there anybody that has a question for our guest today?
Boy, I don't know. If you could describe, John, what's different about this? There's a lot of marketing books out there. What's different about this one?
And then I'm going to follow. I'm going to give my one of my definitions of why this book is different too.
Yeah,
but
why don't you tee it up there, Steve?
All right, I'm going to tee it up by saying, here's what I'm going to say. The thing that really hit home with me was this is like a workshop.
Yeah.
This thing is a workshop from page 1 to page 800, I think. I can't see what that says. But I mean, it's just like, do this, do this, do this, do this through the whole book, which you don't see in very many books. Did I tee that up okay?
You did tee it up. And funny you should say that, because as I wrote this, I mean, because it is essentially a strategy book, I really envision offering 2-day workshops of going through this, because this is the kind of thing that it's so, I won't say it's dense necessarily, but it requires some thinking and it requires some space.
I think intense. I think intense is
that may be it too. But
I really do. But good intense.
Yeah, but I think that if you could get people away from their office and their phone and just say, look, we're going to work on this for 2 days, I think they'd come away with something that was really could be a framework to guide them into the future.
Well, okay, got to cut you off, man.
All right. So you guys going to sign up for the workshop?
The advertisers are only paying for us just so far with this,
Right.
So, but John Jantsch, as always, I think this might be the fourth book that I've interviewed you about, if I remember right. But anyway, always a pleasure. Always great to see you. I want to absolutely encourage The Ultimate Marketing Machine, and I love the subtitle, 5 Steps to Ridiculously Consistent Growth. So where do we go for information?
Yeah, Steve. So if people want to check out the site or the book itself, won't be available until September 21st. But if you want to go to theultimatemarketingengine.com, you can get a couple free chapters now, or even better, if you want to pre-order a copy of the book, it'll be shipped to you whenever your bookseller ships books. But right away, you can get a free companion course that has 6 videos and some worksheets and things that go along with the book. So you can get started right away and won't have to wait until your book is shipped.
The Ultimate Companion Course.
That's right. Theultimatemarketingengine.com.
That's right. And thanks for joining us today. As our very first guest on our podcast. We appreciate you, John, very, very, very much.
Oh,
yes. And we'll see you again in 6 months for your next book.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I don't know. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to go fishing.
Go fishing. Go fishing. There we go. And for my cohort in crime, the David Loomis.
Yes. Thank you
I'm
all.
Steve Miller.
Thank you, John.
Better known as Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger. And we're out. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing. Keep on selling.